Hi, everyone. This is Catherine Adams.
And Elizabeth Wallace. And you're listening to Binary System Podcast number 200. Woo! Awesome. Man, I can't... It's weird to think. It's been it's been almost 4 years, hasn't it?
Yep,
200 episodes?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, and traffic noise, just as we started recording, of course.
We sat around for a while waiting for that helicopter to go away, and now we get some more. That's typical. But for the 200th episode, I think that's appropriate.
Yeah, it'd be weird if we didn't have traffic noises on the episode.
Oh, but speaking of which, so to celebrate, and there we go.
All right, and...
Yay!
I got Guinness, of course, and it just foamed all over everything. So, stop going everywhere. Anyway, so congratulations on 200 episodes. Actually, it's closer to 220 almost, because we had at least 20 episodes of the Night Vale Recap podcast.
But 220, depending on which ones we're counting, doesn't make as good of a title, I don't think.
No, we need all the zeros in the title and everything. So anyway, happy 200.
Happy 200.
So we do actually have a plan for this episode, and it's a plan that we've had for at least a month now, which rarely ever happens. But I was trying to think of stuff that's very important to specifically you and me. Hopefully some of the listeners like this as well, but we're going to be selfish and do something that we really, really like. What is so important to you and I in just about every fandom that we take part in?
Shipping! Ship all the ships.
Oh my God, yeah. So we each made a list of ships that were very important to us, and next thing you know, we divided into categories, and one of my categories has subcategories, so, because nerds. But we figured what we would do is, just so that we don't go on too long, we're going to divide them into the 3 categories, and we're going to put a timer on it to keep us from going over long, and also because we really like the funny timer noise.
It's always fun to jump. So, yes, and of course, I have notes, and I will be highlighting the times that you mention a ship that I also have as a ship, but I'm pretty sure our categories will be categorizing things slightly different, so I'll be interested to see where everything falls. So, would you like to start us off?
Yes. So, the first category is what you had called formative, and I was calling main, I think. But these are the ones that are most important to us. These are ones that just knocked us over the head with how much we shipped these characters. Oh, I think I hear a siren in the background. Everybody drink. So I'm about to set the timer, and I'll start on the first one. So starting the timer now. My first one, the most important to me at the moment, is Clintasha, to the surprise of absolutely nobody.
And I have to say, that one fell into my category of 100% behind, but never created my own stories. And I'm sorry, but I watched the first Avengers movie, and I was instantly obsessed with Loki. So I was like, Clintasha, oh wow, that's rather appealing. Yeah, I don't think I even hunted up that much fan fiction for it.
Oh man, all the fan fiction, all the fan art. I'm so obsessed. And that one, not only is it such a strong ship for me, but it's also, I was in the theater watching their interactions, and I felt the ship being born in my heart. I knew that I would immediately go home and look up stuff about this. And so that's when you said formative, I'm like, yeah, that was pretty much a very important thing for me. So what's your first one?
Oh, the Fourth Doctor and his companion, Sarah Jane.
Aww.
And it's so weird because the first episode that I watched Sarah Jane in was her last episode of the main series.
Really?
It was when she was saying goodbye at the end of it. And I don't know, something about it, it was just absolutely perfect. And I've never really found anything to match up to it. Just the way the two of them interacted. I think they may be a lot of people's favorites. And part of it is there was this chemistry. Part of it is she would just play off anything that he did sometimes so well. I mean, there was a scene with both of them walking into a room, and they see one of the bad guys as they're talking with his flunky, and the two of them just do an about face and march right out without pausing. And it was just brilliant. So I love everything about the Doctor and Sarah Jane. And it's one of the few things that I have an actual published piece of fan fiction, Strange Treasure.
Which I didn't really think much of Doctor Who fan fiction much at all until I read that one, and somehow that kick-started me into writing my own Doctor Who fan fiction, so thank you for that.
You're
I
very
appreciate
welcome.
That.
All right, what's your next one?
I know you've got this one on your list. Mickey and Ryan from Friday the 13th.
Oh What haven't we already said about this particular ship?
Oh, yeah, we have, one major episode about it, and we've mentioned it a bunch of other times. All leading up to the 30th anniversary, we couldn't stop talking about Mickey and Ryan.
And posting all the pictures and all the screen caps and just... the two of them. And all right, guys, they were related by marriage. They were cousins by marriage, not by blood. It was totally legal, so it's fine.
Yes, it was. You know what? Honestly, we'll probably discuss this later, but even if it hadn't really been legal, we were going to ship them anyway. It did not matter. They were so perfect. So yeah, we'll put a link in this podcast to all the other times that we've talked about them. But talk about formative. That was actually the first show I ever wrote fan fiction about.
Oh, that's awesome.
So what's your next one on the list?
Okay, I consider this formative, even though it was a lot more recent than the rest of them. Sam Seaborn and C.J. Craig from The West Wing.
Ah, nice. Very nice. I actually have that one in my yes, really category.
No kidding.
It was one of those ones where I would have never put the two of them together. They didn't really have a lot of they didn't have any romance on the screen, really. They were just nice to each other. But as soon as you mentioned that as a ship and I started thinking about it and I started looking at fan fiction, I'm like, yes, I'm on board with this.
It was so odd because honestly, Sam Seaborn jumped to the defense of Ainsley at one point. And I was like, ooh, I wonder if there's some Sam Seaborn Ainsley fan fiction out there. And I started looking, and the first thing I came across was Sam and CJ. And the more I took a look at the fan fiction that was out there, I was like, yeah, this absolutely works.
Yeah, it really does. And that's another, we figured that anything in the formative or main category is stuff that we've either written our own fan fiction about, done fan art for, or obsessively looked for both online. And I can say that about all of those things for Sam and CJ.
Oh, yeah. So what's your next one?
Well, Clearbrook and One Eye from ElfQuest. And
wow.
You want to talk about formative. Yeah, I daydreamed about them, and I started writing a fan fiction that never really got any place, and I started doing some fan art, but at the time that was when Wendy Penny was just at her highlight of art, and so I could never do anything that I thought even came close to what she did. So I just basked in that kind of romance, and I thought it was interesting what you said, that we loved Clearbrook and One Eye, but we never loved Strongbow and Moonshade nearly as much.
Yeah, and I think you said that they weren't as approachable or
yeah.
And it was I don't know, because I was already obsessed with them before. Spoilers: One Eye was killed in a fight with the trolls, and I do remember going out to dinner with the family at one of our favorite restaurants that night, and me having to specifically not be down and depressed because I had just read the scene where he died. So that was traumatizing. Man. But at the same time, when Wendy Penny made the choice in the story to not bring him back, happens with, all these comic book characters, and they end up being brought back from the dead, she didn't go there. And that really impressed me, because it did feel like it kept the power of that particular storyline.
Yeah, and, he had such a tragic ending, but then later on, much later in the series, we actually got a legitimate goodbye between him and Clearbrook, which just broke my friggin' heart. It was just, that's a good one.
I actually have that in 100% Behind, but never created my own stories because, I really obsessed about that. But at the same time, I just never imagined my own storylines.
That's fair. That's fair. So what's your next one?
Okay. RC and Springer from Transformers.
Oh, interesting. I have that one in my formative second tier, which means I definitely was important to me, but not as important as some others.
Yeah, for some reason I had this storyline about theirs being a forbidden union of some kind and them having to fight past that, whatever. It was always it was as close to canon as you can get, other than Optimus Prime and Elita 1, which happened to be another 100% Behind, but never thought of storylines for. But it was just, the idea that they actually had a female character that I was allowed to obsess about and pair with a male character on Transformers. Totally behind it. Yes, I did, create some stories, a few, maybe.
Nice. Acceptable. Yeah. It totally fits. Wonderful.
And what's your next one?
Next one for me is for the same reason that I had Clintasha in this category. It's Arthur and Ariadne from Inception, because that one scene they have where the two of them kiss, and boy, I was also just kind of shell-shocked from spending the first half of that movie when I first saw it going, who is that sexy guy in the vest? And realizing, oh my God, it's the kid from Third Rock from the Sun, and he got hot.
He really did.
Wow. Oh my God. And then to see them kiss, I actually felt in my heart, I was like, oh, I ship them. So that excited me a lot. It's funny that I've looked around for tons of fan fiction. You can find a lot of fan fiction between the two of them, but definitely Arthur and Eames in that movie is by far the most of what you can find from Inception. And that's Tom Hardy. Of course you're going to find that.
I was about to say, what's better than an incredibly hot male celebrity, but two incredibly hot male celebrities? That's fine.
And you could also say that Arthur and Eames actually had more sexual chemistry on the screen than him and Ellen, because they got the one kiss, but Arthur and Eames were like flirting with each other that movie.
The whole time. Yeah, unfortunately, that pairing didn't make it anywhere on my list. I don't know how I managed to miss out on those, but...
No, that's okay. That's fair.
Okay, here's another formative one. Snake Eyes and Scarlet from G.I. Joe.
Oh, I don't have that on any of my lists at all. Isn't that funny?
It was so odd because, of course, we watched the cartoon all the time. But it was always pairing Scarlet and Duke on the cartoon, which didn't really work for me. And then I read one of the comic books that had just come out back when I was 12, which was in the 80s. And I started realizing that the canon pairing in the comic book was Scarlet and Snake Eyes. And I was like,
That's so funny.
I like this a lot. And then, I had a chance to read some of the old comic books, and there was this whole storyline where Snake Eyes got his face, repaired. Scarlet got shot by the Baroness, and she was in a coma, and Scarlet's bitch of a sister took her off life support, so she was obviously going to die, and Snake Eyes was so just grieving. I was like, oh, this is so satisfying.
Oh my God, hurt comfort fix, man. I can't quit them. Not at all. Oh my God, they're my favorite.
Oh, and that's one of the few things that I've done fan art for. I actually did a picture of Snake Eyes and Scarlet kissing because they never got a kiss in the original comic book. Damn it, why?
So the next one on my list is one that... I don't know, a lot of people don't agree with me on this one, including Leland, and we've talked about this before, but it's Trip and Hoshi from Enterprise.
Oh, right.
Yeah, there's a lot of fan fiction about there. You can definitely find it. But I had stopped watching before Trip and T'Pol ended up hooking up, and Leland says that pairing was really, really good. He really liked it.
Okay, yeah, I don't know why I stopped watching that show, because I remember really enjoying the episodes that I watched, and then it was years later and the show was wrapping up. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I heard the ending of that one wasn't great either, which is a shame. And I also, spoilers, I heard Trip didn't make it, which bummed me the hell out. Yeah. But I've got fan fiction about that one, something about the two of them. I mean, she's so smart and she's very pretty, but she's not nearly as confident, and he's totally confident. He's also a sexy dude. I mean, Trip is a really good looking guy. So yeah, I definitely had a fond spot in my heart for that one.
Here's another one, and I'm not even sure if this ever came up on any of your lists. Okay, so the Macgyver TV show.
Go, yeah, go, say it.
Macgyver and Nikki.
Yes, I have that one on my list. I actually have it in my yes, really category because it's so long ago, and oh man, I loved that pairing.
They knew, the creators of that show knew that was a pairing because they did fan service by creating this like MacGyver special movie episode, whatever, where they brought the actress, Alyssa Davalos, and yes, I have known that since the series came out. I normally don't pay attention to actor and actresses' names, but yeah, I knew that one. They created a separate storyline where she came in as a completely different character who was a long-lost love of MacGyver. So why couldn't they have just given us the regular pairing? I mean, I thought their dynamic was so awesome in the TV series, but we had like 5 episodes, and, there was like a hurt comfort episode where she got attacked or something and she was grieving or something, and that was really satisfying. So yeah, I love that one.
Well, I'm about to blow your mind because I researched all of this. I looked all of it up. So get this, the episode where she was his long-lost girlfriend, that episode came first. They brought Nikki in later.
Yes, they really? Wow.
Yeah. But the thing is, we watched that episode second, so I think for years we thought that came after. No, they brought her on. It was like a one-shot episode. I think she had a tragic death. They liked the chemistry between her and Mac, so they created this other character, brought her on. She was not popular with the fans, and that's because Yeah. That's because, specifically, nobody really wanted Mac to hook up for real. The female viewers were not a fan of that idea.
Oh.
So they very quietly, there's a name for it in the TV trope, something, I can't remember what it's called, but when somebody's just like, they don't even get a goodbye episode, somebody asked about her in an episode, they're like, oh yeah, she's off in blah, 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 and they never mentioned her again.
Oh, how disappointing. Yeah. This is why we can't have nice things.
That's right. So anyway, yeah, there you go. So, but I had that, the only reason why I had that in the Yes Really categories, I almost feel like any fan ship about Macgyver, for crying out loud. It's like, yes, I shipped a character on Macgyver. Whatever.
All right, what's your next one?
Next one, right next to Trip and Hoshi, is also Harry and B'Elanna, and that almost should go in the Yes Really category, because I'm seriously basing that ship on the fact that they got all this screen time together in the very first episode and then nothing afterwards. There was never any kind of tension or angst or no romantic ideas whatsoever between the two, but I never liked her with Tom Paris, and that's another one people have disagreed with me about. They've said that her pairing with Tom Paris was very cool, and it, I don't know, made him a better character and her a better character, and I was like, I don't care, I always liked her with Harry. I wrote fan fiction in college about them, so yeah, that one was always really important to me, and it never went anywhere.
Aww.
I know.
All right. God, I'm trying to think. I've been shuffling things in different categories as I like raise them or lower them in importance. So this is not at all scientific. Okay. Here's one that it's formative, but it also feels like it needs to go into the Yes Really category. So the TV show that you and I liked, Mighty Orbots. Bo.
Oh, yes.
Bo
yes.
from Mighty Orbots. I paired her with, oh God, this is so embarrassing to admit, Leader One from the GoBots cartoon. And let me tell you, that was based on watching one damn episode of the GoBots, which I didn't even like. And yet somehow when I wanted to pair Bo with somebody, it ended up being with Leader One. And I wrote all these storylines in my head. My God, there was even an adventure where they went to Mammoth Cave after all, our family did that trip to Mammoth Cave. It's just so ridiculous. And my God, I treasure that ship, but it's still very silly.
Did you have any desire to read the IDW GoBots comic book?
Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. I'm sorry. I have really enjoyed articles where people talk about how doofy the GoBot transformations are in the toys. I mean, just so ridiculous. The GoBots wanted to be the Transformers really badly. And let me tell you, the fact that I had an entire cast of male characters in the Transformers that I could have paired Bo with, and I went with the GoBots?
That's ridiculous. What the hell's the matter with you?
I have no idea.
Oh my God.
No idea.
We can't control how our brains work. It's fine.
Yeah,
That's
it's
totally fine. My next one is silly, and I don't care, but it's Wild Hops. Nick Wilde and Judy Hopps from Zootopia. That's a big one, because that's another one. I was in the theater, and they are so adorable together, and I think I probably would have shipped them anyway, but we're sitting through the credits, and I get on my phone and look at Instagram and see these adorable pictures of him and her on Instagram, this fan art, and boom, that was it. I was a shipper. Instantly, I'm a fan, so very much Team Wild Hops.
Oh, God. The fan art for that pairing is beautiful. There is so much gorgeous fan art. I mean, I think they did the one with the two of them as Han Solo and Princess Leia.
Oh yeah,
that was
adorable.
It's all the buttons right there.
And the thing is that I keep hearing rumors that pairing is canon, and that in the Zootopia 2 movie, they may actually address it. That, yeah, I know.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Hoping. Anyway, what's your next one?
All right, I keep moving into some of the Yes Really ones, but I think all of the ones in Yes Really are the ones that I really, really liked. I just think they're kind of ridiculous, so we might have some bleed over in that. The Millennium TV series with Lance Henriksen.
Oh, yeah?
How much of that show did you ever watch?
Almost none of it, really.
Wow.
I don't know why.
I was I watched all 3 seasons of that. Okay, so the second season, there's a character named Lara Means. She was an applicant to the Millennium Society that Frank Black was a part of. I don't know why. I obsessed over those two. There was like maybe a little bit of awkwardness when like his estranged wife comes over at one point and Laura just kind of like, oh, I gotta go. So you had this idea that maybe there was something between the two of them, but otherwise, no. And it was, I mean, I put the maximum amount of shippiness into less than one season's worth of character interaction. But wow, the kind of hot for teacher vibe that I had going on between the two of them was just wow.
Nice.
Yeah, I like that one. And awesome. I'm sure nobody knows what the hell I'm talking about.
It's fine. I'm sure there's Millennium fans out there.
Sure they've got a documentary that's has come out, something like that, about the whole series. So which I will probably have to watch. Yeah.
I probably won't. It won't mean very much to me. Sorry.
Absolutely. Well, that was God. What was it? You made me spit out my drink at one point when we were instant messaging about the fact that I liked Lance Henriksen, and you made some comment about my TV show is called Millennium because I look like I'm 1,000 years old. Honestly.
Sorry. So my next one, I don't know how many more of these I'm going to have time to get through, but my next one is actually Dax and Bashir from Deep Space Nine. God, I couldn't believe I forgot that. And I think most of that is because Alexander Siddig is so very pretty, but I never paired her with Worf. I mean, I know it kind of made sense in a way, but it always just sort of bummed me out that the two of them didn't get together. And when we were in college and we got access to the computer labs at school, I just remember hours of scrolling because I was just fascinated by the fact that there was all this fiction out there. And this is the early 90s. All of this fiction that people have written, and it's completely free, and a lot of it is extremely smutty, and all of those things just really appeal to me. So I have many fond memories of just browsing through Dax and Bashir fan fiction. Just loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Well, we'll probably have to move on to your next two really fast, because all the rest of mine fall into the yes, really, or the 100% behind, but never created my own stories.
Okay, cool. The only other two I have... All right. There we go. Okay. I forgot how to turn it off.
Okay, real fast. What's your last two?
9 and Rose. So the Ninth Doctor and Rose.
Oh,
of
that
course.
was another one of my 100% behind, but never created my own stories.
Very nice. And also Haley and Elijah from the originals, which is the spinoff from Vampire Diaries, which I swear should almost go in the yes, really category because really, but that was a very important one for me. And you've never finished that show, have you?
No, I've still got either the last two seasons or the last season.
Yeah, I don't want to build it up. I didn't like how they ended the final. I mean, the finale was good in a way, but there was a lot of stuff that happened in the final season that I didn't approve of, and so I don't want to oversell that one. So whenever you get around to it, we'll talk.
Okay. So now we've done 20 minutes of our main category, so which one do you want to move on to next?
Oh, that's a really good question. Should we just go through the supportive ones kind of fast? Because they're ones that, supportive, or in your case, it's the 100% behind, but never really did your own stories for. Do you have many of those?
I have several. I think we could probably go through them pretty fast.
Okay, and then I will fold in with their, it's like my supportive ones, but I also have the formative second tier ones, which aren't quite as important as the first ones. We're such nerds. Oh my God.
I can't believe we actually had notes for this.
Yeah, we really did. Of course we had notes. This is shipping. This is serious business,
this is
okay?
Important, damn it. So I can start.
All right, we're only going to do 10 minutes on this one because we can go through these much faster. Watch us totally eat our words on that one. So, and starting the timer.
Okay, I can start with probably the most important one, Scully and Mulder from The X-Files. And
God, what the hell?
I was obsessed with that pairing, but I would not let myself enjoy it for the weirdest reason. You and I had ships that we would follow in various TV shows of, characters that we approved of, they approved of their relationships very much, and then one of them would die. And it was always just one of them. And then the other one would have to go on alone, and it was really sad. So, I was assured that it was all going to end in tears. But man, any hint of, affection between the two of them, and I was all over it. And it pisses me off that they only finally got together when it was so far in the series that I just didn't care anymore.
I know. It's just I'm sure it was just like a Hail Mary to try and get some interest in the show again, actually getting them together. I'm like, too little, too late. But I don't have that one anywhere on my list, and that's just because I forgot about it. It's just so many. But I think I probably would have put it in the same category of supportive. I don't remember making any of my own daydreams about those guys, which is totally fine. That's fine.
Okay.
I got to put in Vincent and Catherine from the original Beauty and the Beast show. I never watched the remake.
Oh, no. That was the one from the late 80s, early 90s, or what is it, all in the 90s, something like that? Man, that was such a beautiful TV show. It was, every single episode was so beautiful, and it was traumatizing when they killed off Catherine.
Wow. Oh, I just remember us watching that. And we'd actually I think we had to go to an orchestra competition over the weekend, and we came back and watched it very, very late at night because we were the only people in the house who knew how to set the VCR. And we watched it and just tears pouring down our faces. Oh my dear Lord.
I remember realizing when I was watching this, because, of course, the episode where she dies is very, very sad. And then the next episode starts out, and Vincent is carrying her back to her body back to her apartment. And then he goes down to the underworld where he lives, and he screams into the void. And all of that was very sad and very beautiful. But the next scene was her boss coming to the apartment. And you can see the character has obviously been crying because he knows what's happened. And he walks in, and there's all this bustle going on and everything. And he looks over, and he can just see her feet on the bed. And he goes off into a corner where he can be out of everybody's way, and he starts crying. And that was where I realized that watching other characters be sad makes me even more sad than the actual death of the character themselves. It was
absolutely
brilliantly well done. I don't even have to watch the rest of the episode, just that one scene, and I will be in tears. But yeah, I love that ship. Never actually wrote any original stories for it. I think they gave us... Other than actually getting them, together in a way that we could really enjoy, I think they gave us everything else.
Yeah, and interesting. I don't know that... diehard fans will know this, but Wendy Penny actually did a book about the ship, I guess, after she died. It was almost like an extra little scene to give us some closure, which I actually appreciated.
It was also beautiful. It was very pretty.
Mm-hmm. What's your next one?
Gambit and Rogue.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, same here. Yeah, I'm in the exact same category with you. I loved those two, and I obsessed over them, and it was great, but I never felt the need to make my own fan art, or, I think we may have drawn a picture for Hannah at one point.
I think so at one point, but...
Yeah, Hannah, I think, was into that ship before we were.
And I think the fact that it was canon and the writers were just kind of dangling it in front of us for years sort of kept me from needing to write any fan fiction about it.
Yeah. Also, they did get annoying after a while. Nowadays, I don't really... I think they're together now. I think they got married, and I'm like, I don't care. It's just... It was not anymore.
There's such a narrow window in the storyline for an ongoing series like that. If... it could be years and years later, but if it doesn't catch you right at the moment when you're obsessing about it, then it doesn't work all that well, unfortunately. But I love that pairing.
My next one is Optimus and Alita, obviously. So, I loved the episode that they were in, though I haven't watched it in many years. I never felt the need to make my own fan fiction or fan art about it. I liked them. I'm very supportive of them, but that's fine. It was good. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
It's one thing I was a little disappointed in IDW that they never even really made a nod to that when they brought in Alita. Alita was really hardcore in the IDW series, and that was really impressive. It would have been nice to have a little bit of a wink at the readers, at the longtime fans who knew that Alita had been introduced as Optimus Prime's girlfriend. But, that's fine. So, love that one, too.
I always liked the way they described her. She's obviously, she's at least a little unhinged, and everybody knows it in the IDW verse. But somebody described her as, her outer paint, whatever, is the color of Energon, which is basically saying that somebody's colored like blood, And so that pink color is actually kind of a scary thing to them. And I'm like, bravo, that was nice.
I like that very much. Okay, my next one was Riker and Deanna Troi from Star Trek, of course.
Same. Yep, yeah, I was 100% behind that pairing. Never felt the need to make any fan fiction about it.
No, and... they would do things to mess with us deliberately. There was a scene where the two of them were visiting Betazoid, and they're out wandering through this park, and they're having a conversation. At one point, they just turn to each other, and Riker gives her a kiss right in the mouth, and it is so sweet. And then her mother interrupted them, and then the scene was done. I'm like, why would you do that?
Damn you all. Yes, exactly. Which brings me to my next one, Jean-Luc and Beverly.
Of course.
I loved that pairing. I obsessed about that pairing, absolutely. Got furious every time they did that little, there's something I've been meaning to tell you, just they always got interrupted. and never felt the need to do anything of my own fan fiction or fan art, but I loved the pairing. I really did. I was so glad. We've talked about this before. When they got her off the show and then they brought her back, I was like, I can't believe it. The universe listened to what I really, really wanted. So happy.
Now, there was a episode where the two of them had been, like, I don't know, injected with some kind of mind reading thing. So they were having to escape through the wilderness and they could read each other's minds. And of course, there was a lot of banter. But they were talking at one point about their history, and Picard made some mention about, and I realized I was no longer in love with my best friend's wife. And that was the death knell to the ship, I think. So many people were so upset. Well, I read a fan fiction, and it took ages for them to finish, but by God, they finished it, and it was wonderful. And no, I can't remember what it was. But Beverly was very upset at one point, and she asked him about that, and he finally explained. He said, yes, I was no longer in love with my best friend's wife. I was in love with my best friend. Like, perfect.
Perfect. Oh, my goodness. That's just, talk about catnip. I love it when fan fiction fixes things like that. That's just perfect.
All right. Molly Hooper and Sherlock, and I'm sure Jada will absolutely love that. It's not canon, but it is really popular, and I got to approve of it because of that one kiss. That one...
my Lord.
It didn't even really happen. It was an imaginary flashback sort of thing, but... wow, that was hot. I mean, that little him ruffling his hair and then pulling her in for a kiss like that, smoking hot.
Yes. I mean, the music was perfect. The slow motion was perfect. Everything was beautiful. That was a great... Talk about giving something to the fans. You know, that's just lovely. I don't have that anywhere on my list. Jada will be very disappointed in me. I approve of that ship, so I guess another thing, you know, there's so many ships out there, I just forgot.
Exactly.
So I, of course, have to do Buffy and Angel. It's nothing that I ever needed to actually write fan fiction about, or even, I never really even needed to look up fan fiction. But I'll tell you, I had made fun of that show when I heard about it, and I'd never watched it. And then one day I was in Asheville. It was on TV. It was the episode where she ends up having to kill him and send him to hell. And I was shell-shocked at the end of that episode. And just automatically was like, what is this show and why haven't I been watching it? So I credit them for dragging me full-hearted into the Buffyverse. I mean, if it wasn't for that episode, I don't know if I ever would have gone in. And then I went back and watched all the episodes that I'd missed, and I love their chemistry. And yeah, I highly approve of that pairing. And always a little sad that it never worked out.
I never included anything from those shows in there, but it reminds me what I should have included was that one episode with Angel and Cordelia, where it's their last one, their last goodbye, which was wonderfully well done. I love that episode, but it was another ship that just never actually came to fruition, but it was still really beautiful what we had.
Yeah, well, at least we got a little bit of something anyway.
All right, here's an interesting one. The Lucifer comic book series, the Mike Carey one, not the TV show, not the comic book series that's much more recent, just the Mike Carey one. Lucifer and Mazikeen, and Mazikeen and Beatrice.
Oh, wow. The Mazikeen and Beatrice, I would have never thought. Mazikeen and Lucifer, I'm surprised I don't have that on my list. That is a beautiful ship right there. That's lovely.
Everything about that one was beautiful, but the Mazikeen and Beatrice one, Beatrice was obsessed with Mazikeen, and the issue that she's in ends with them actually getting together. Turn off, stop.
Wow, that was a fast 10 minutes, man.
Oh, boy. Okay, yes, I really like that, and I'll post a link to a bit of fan fiction that I found for that one really recently that I thought wrapped it up very nicely.
Very nice, very nice. All right, I'll just list the last ones in my supportive category because I have a handful of them here real fast. Fry and Leela from Futurama, but only because of the final episode,
very nice.
Which I don't think you've ever watched.
Not yet. I know what happens, but yeah.
There's some beautiful moments in that episode. I like it. Also, Bren and Jago from the Foreigner series, which is no longer a good series anymore. I cannot recommend it, but you know, the first few trilogies are good.
Oh, God, what is she up to now?
Oh, God, we're up to at least the 5th trilogy, and maybe even more. We might even be at the 6th or 7th trilogy, and they're just so boring. Really boring. Sorry.
That's a shame.
Yeah. And then Han and Leia, obviously. Ten and Rose, and Damon and Elena from Vampire Diaries, and that's it.
Okay, that was pretty much all of my my second tier category there. The only thing I've left is just a few in my yes really category.
Yeah, I've got a handful there too. So we will reset the clock and go.
Okay, did you ever used to watch the TV show The Pretender?
Oh, that sounds kind of familiar, but I don't think I watched a lot of it.
Really fast summary is that Jared is a pretender. He was somebody that was a savant. He was brilliant, but he was kidnapped from his family and raised in the Institute to be this kind of secret agent kind of thing, but he escapes. And the Institute is hunting for him the entire season, and in charge of the hunt is Miss Parker, who I don't think we ever got a first name for her. She was just Miss Parker. So he is very savvy, and she is a cast iron bitch, and I really love the dynamic between the two of them. And I watched a few episodes, and yeah, I thought up a whole bunch of storylines for them. I even had this one scene where the two of them like share this kiss that surprises both of them, and then they both have to like run in opposite directions or whatever, and Miss Parker's flunky finds her, and she's just sitting there going, nope, and she walks down the stairs. Nope. She's always trying to quit smoking, so she like holds out her hand, give me a cigarette. And he like gives her a packet of cigarettes, and she looks at it, and then she chucks it out the window, and he's behind her. Hey! So, yeah, that was one of my favorites. But it's such an obscure show now. I mean, I think it had a couple of made-for-TV movies tacked onto the end of it, and they still never resolved anything, and then it was kind of done.
It's always a shame. At least give us a real goodbye. Even if it's a terrible ending, at least we need an ending.
Yes.
So, this is not like a super important one for me, but it is still there. It exists, and I have to bring it up. Did you ever watch the cartoon Brave Star?
No, not really.
But you know what I'm talking about, with the American Indian sheriff, and he's got the horse that can transform into something. I don't know. That show?
Basically a space-age cowboys and Indians show.
Yes, very much so. Well, actually a canon pairing, it's him and J.B. McBride, which was sort of the female sheriff. It's been years since I watched that show, but every time I see images from it, I'm like, man, I shipped those two so hard. I really, really did. But you know what? I found out just researching this for this podcast. Guess who did her voice?
Oh, Susan Blue?
Yes, absolutely. Got it in one.
RC! Yay!
Yes, that delighted me.
I'm not good at remembering actors or actresses' names, especially not for cartoons, but by God, I remembered one of the few female characters on Transformers.
That just delighted me when I found that. That was neat.
Well, one of the ones in the same time period. Okay, so we used to watch He-Man all the damn time. I mean, that was
yes, we did.
On the schedule, we would watch He-Man, we would watch Transformers, and we would watch G.I. Joe. And, okay, so I shipped He-Man and the Sorceress.
Yeah, I found that out recently, and I was like, okay, I see that, but I'm amazed that I didn't know it.
It took a while to come up with storylines or whatever, but it was just this idea that, okay, so a lot of people shipped He-Man and Teela. Teela was a bitch. She was absolutely a bitch. I never liked her. But the Sorceress, right. I always loved that character. And then it occurred to me at one point, He-Man is the protector of Grayskull, so he's technically her champion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that really worked for me.
Yeah, that's kind of catnip for us, isn't it? Well, as long as we're talking about animated ones. So this is firmly into the yes, really. So you remember the webcomic VG Cats.
Oh, yeah.
So Eris and Leo, the pink cat and the blue cat. And, I'm not a gamer, but there were a lot of those strips that I really liked. And I definitely paired the two of them, did some fan art of them at one point. I don't care if that makes me a furry. I'm sure I am. You got to be careful about looking for fan art of them because there's a lot of, you get some smutty stuff too, and some of that just gets a little... Which is why recently I asked you to send me the link to Graphtron, I guess, is a site where you track Patreons.
Yeah, Graphtron.
So the artist is no longer really doing the webcomic. He's started a Patreon. This is a real thing. It's VG Ludes. And he's doing sex art of the two of them, and he's got 178 Patreons at this point.
Okay, well, nice work if you can get it, I suppose.
Yeah. He's lost a couple of followers recently, and I'll bet you it's for the same reason. He was never really great about regular updates on that cartoon. No. Sometimes it could be quite a while. Yeah, but, so, hey, if you... I don't... So the thing is, both of us really like the fluffy kind of pairings. We're not really into the smut. I mean, I'll take a little bit of smut with my fluff, certainly, but I'm really more for the fluff. So when it starts to get into the really graphic stuff, I'm like, I'm probably pretty good. So I haven't signed up for his Patreon. Who knows? I may get curious and look at it, but that's why he's not really doing the webcomic, because I'll bet you he's making a decent amount of coin doing some lewd pictures of the two of them.
Well, good for him.
Yes.
Okay, well, this falls really firmly into the yes, really category. Hansel and Gretel witch hunters. I'm not sorry.
Same here. I'm not either. I've got them in the same category. Oh my, they're too pretty is what it is.
They're so
just
pretty.
So
they
pretty.
had Why would you give brother and sister chemistry on that movie? I don't understand that. In my defense, I have thought up a storyline between the two of them that means they're not related. And I even had this whole thing like, what was the name of the troll? Edward.
Remember.
That's right. It was Edward, whatever. And Hansel, okay, so Hansel and Edward are out somewhere, and Hansel tries to give him an order, and Edward isn't having it. And Hansel says, oh, wait a minute, you're supposed to serve witches, so you're supposed to do what I say. And Edward says, not a witch. He's like, well, that's not fair. You mean, men can't be witches? And he turns to Hansel and said, not her brother. And then he stomps off, and he's sitting there going, well, what? And then you go on from there.
Nice. I loved what you said, though, that when you started looking for ships for that, when you were looking for people to explain how they're not really brother and sister, no, most people just don't bother. They're like, no, we're going to ship them together, and they're related. It's fine.
Most people just went right for the incest. It was weird.
I just love that. Fan fiction people, they don't care. It's fine.
They really don't. No, I mean, we're not even getting into, like, the really weird Harry Potter pairings. I mean...
Oh, yeah.
Snape and Hermione? Are you kidding me?
There's a lot of people who ship that one, man. That has a lot of... Because when I first found it, I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this exists. I'm just going to read one more of these and then I'm done. I've read some Hermione and Snape fiction. It's friggin' fascinating. I'm not sorry. It is... I don't ship them, but there's a lot of really well-written... I'm seriously trying to defend myself. Whatever, I don't care.
How much of that do you suppose is Alan Rickman playing Snape?
Oh, I'm sure most of it.
Okay.
I'm sure most of it, yeah. I mean, it's Alan Rickman. How could you not? Come on. So my next one is... It's only in the yes really category because it's so friggin' random. It's Inception again, but it's Ariadne and Saito, Ken Watanabe's character. And obviously because they're both very pretty people.
And I remember you telling me that you actually stumbled across that while trying to find Arthur and Ariadne pairings, and you found the Saito ones.
Yeah, but there's only like 3 decent Ariadne Saito ones. There may even only be like 3 ones out there at all. It is not a popular ship, but somebody made a fan video where they basically did a supercut of every single scene in the movie where they're even together for a little bit, and they said the storyline is that he actually is, has secret feelings for her, and they cut it in a way that you can almost believe, and I'm like, this is ridiculous and really intriguing. So I've started fan fiction for it. I haven't finished it, but I do actually, because I feel like if I really want it, I'm going to have to write it myself.
I remember those fan videos. You sent me a fan video one time that was supercutting scenes from the Avengers to show a pairing between Loki and Black Widow. Or like a love triangle between Loki, Black Widow, and Hawkeye. And I, as soon as I saw Avengers, I was like, nope, Loki's mine. But I saw that, and that was really good. It was a good choice of clips. It was a good choice of music. And she took it down, and it's never been brought back up again. It's like vanished from the internet. I'm so depressed.
I'm going to blow your mind again. Well, before she took it down, I downloaded a copy.
Oh, you've got to send that to me.
I will send it to you. Yeah, it's good. I imagine she probably... I mean, you got to be careful sometimes when you use somebody's music or, use like scenes from a very popular Marvel movie. It may have been slapped with copyright violations. I don't know, but for whatever reason it was down, but I have a copy.
I'm sure the Marvel people have some deep pockets for lawyers, so yeah, you don't want to mess with that.
I'm sure they do too. Nope.
The last one I have in the yes really category, and I think this is a super popular pairing, especially now that there's been TV shows in addition to comic books. Okay, Teen Titans, Raven and Starfire.
Oh, wow, that is a random one. Oh, but that's so good, though. I like that.
And for some reason, so we were first introduced to Teen Titans with a friggin' don't do drugs PSA issue that we got for free when we were in elementary school, something like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was part of what Nancy Reagan's Say No to Drugs campaign. It was all part of that.
Something movement. Like that, and an invented hero that doesn't appear anywhere else in the Teen Titans ever again. But and even then, you and I really liked the Raven character, but I never really could think of any stories about her. And then, I'm just kind of wandering around, and I found this fan fiction series that was set in the real time of the comic book series, but then diverged by having Starfire leave Robin and move in with Raven, and they have this developing relationship. It was really appealing. I mean, they did it very well. And I cannot find it. I can't find it anywhere. I mean, if you look around, there's millions of Starfire. Stop.
That makes me laugh every time. Oh my God. I was just going to say there's a story where, I don't know, Raven's just like in recovery. It's actually in one of the comics, and she's in recovery from all the Trigon stuff, and she thinks she's in love with Robin, Dick, and Starfire goes to talk to her, and they have like this little vacation on an ocean beach, and they were definitely playing up a little bit of chemistry between the two of them, but mostly I think it's because Starfire is like, obviously Starfire would be free love, even back in the 80s, that was all about just she loves everybody, so yeah, it doesn't come out of nowhere.
I remember the artwork being really good in that one.
Oh yeah, it is. I actually recently grabbed it off of Comixology, and I'm like, this is as good as I remember. I'll have to look up the artist. Didn't do all of the issues. Anyway, whatever. But yeah, no, it's beautiful. The only other one that I had in that category, I'll just say real quick, was Oswald and Edward, the Riddler and Penguin from the Gotham series.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that sounded like it was really good.
Yeah, and I don't really do a lot of slash fic. I don't have any problem with it. It's just not usually what I gravitate towards. But the two of them, their chemistry was great. It was one, and those two actors are actually probably some of the best things about that show. Like, the least good thing about that show was the guy who played Commissioner Gordon. I mean, he was fine. There was nothing wrong with him. But everybody around him, I thought, was doing so much of a better job. So it's just, but yeah, it's funny. It's Edward Nigma and Oswald Cobblepot, and so the ship is called Nigmobblepot. And you would think that would not fly anywhere, but that is the official ship name. The shippers have grabbed it and run with it. So it's a lot of cute fan art about it too. But yeah, I like that.
Yeah, this whole time we've been talking about ships, we haven't really come up with all the different names of any of these ships. I'm sure they all have official names.
Oh, all of them. I mean, I know Clintasha, obviously, but yeah, all of them have names. But the last thing I was going to mention, you were talking, because I had a little mini category when we were talking about just the really off-the-wall pairings and everything, and Hermione and Snape. It was a mini category called Fascinating and Wrong, but Fascinating, and that was in there. But I also put the supernatural one, Wincest, in there. Those guys are so passionate about that ship, and my God, there is some actually really realistic-looking photo manipulations that have been done of the two of them together. I'm like, whoa, did that actually happen? I mean, it's like really nice work. And once again, it's that whole, like, I don't do a lot of slash pairings, but it's two very pretty gentlemen. And how can I deny anybody their right to just put them together, even if it's totally incest? That's fine. Plus, the name Wincest just makes me laugh.
Well, it seems to be the standard bearer for, fan shippers are going to ship sort of thing. They'll bring up Wincest every time.
Though I think, what is it? Destiel, which is Dean and Castiel. That is a much more popular ship on that show.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Those guys are nuts. They are crazy. Holy cow. Yeah, they really like that ship. So you can find way more of that out there. Oh, my goodness. That's all I have on this. So, anything else you'd like to add to this 200th episode of Shippy Goodness?
No, I'm just always looking for my next ship. I haven't had one for a little while, but I needs one.
Yeah, I think that's why the Edward and Oswald one hit me so hard. It was the first time in a while that I've been like, oh, I really like that. That's very cool. But yeah, and also we may call certain ships weird, and we may be like very surprised about it, but I have no problem with anybody shipping everything. And I've seen online people like giving people a hard time for their various ships and like bagging on people for shipping something. I'm like, it's all a fictional universe. You ship anything and everything, even Hermione and Snape, if you so feel like it.
I remember when we did the fan fiction episode of, I think was it movie issues, or did we just have Leland on a Binary System podcast episode?
Oh, no, it was actually Lost in Sci-Fi.
Oh,
so,
that's right. Yes, it was the Lost in Sci-Fi thing that we did about fan fiction. And Leland was a little surprised that anyone would get mad at somebody for not doing a pairing right. When it's like, but
Yeah.
it's all invented. I'm like, yeah, and people will really get mad if you don't invent the ones that they approve of. And we here at Binary
Yes.
System Podcast, let your geek flag fly. You go ahead and pair and ship all the ships you want to. We will not complain.
No, and sometimes you will pair them and we'll be like, that's ridiculous. And now I'm going to read a few more of these. I had never thought of that before. So.
Oh my god, that fan art is just absolutely awful, and I'm only going to look at one more.
That's exactly right. So ship all the ships, please do. Yeah, but I guess that's going to wrap us up. So make sure to check out PixelatedGeek.com for all the book reviews, the movie reviews, the comic book reviews, the photo galleries. I'm going to DesignerCon with some people next week, so we'll have DesignerCon pics.
Awesome.
We'll also put up a fan art gallery at some point. I think we're probably going to need to do a ship-worthy fan gallery.
Oh, yeah.
Because after all this ships, oh, yeah.
We will be putting together a list of all the ships that we talked about on this episode and challenge ourselves to find fan art for all of them. But tasteful, please. This is a family show.
Yes. Yeah, seriously. We may drop the F-bomb every once in a while, but we really can't post the smut onto the site.
we
I am
can't.
so...
No.
So sorry. No. But, yeah, so I guess I have no idea what the 201st episode is going to be, but that is pretty typical for us. After 200 episodes, we very rarely have a plan.
Still no plan.
Nope. But thank you for anybody who is listening to this episode or any of the other episodes. We really appreciate anybody who's listening to this. It's very nice of you to spend your time.
Yeah, all 5 of you.
Yes. But, one way or the other, we will talk to everybody in 1 week.
Talk to y'all later.
Yeah, we better give this a full 10 minutes.
Okay.
I think this is we're going to need it.
What are we up to now? We are at 51 minutes.
Wow, okay. But we have a little bit to trim off there, so that's fine. So that was perfect.